to another episode. It's not really. On YouTube, I've been titling these car conversations.
Have you? That's
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
We're not in the car.
But we're kind of
This will be like a first of a new series called Garage Conversations.
But think about it. We're sitting in, like, if we were in a car, we'd be in the same spot. You'd be driving,
True.
I'd be in the passenger seat here.
Not
off to
quite
your right.
looking at each other. Just kind of looking straight ahead.
Pretending like things are passing. Cars are still passing by.
True. True.
So I was just wondering recently here if you have ever met random strangers who have decided to share life stories with you or talk to you about certain things that have gone on in their lives, but they're completely random strangers, but have continued to speak to you and given you information that you never requested and you never really needed or you didn't think you needed, but all of a sudden here it is, information from somebody else's life and experience.
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but I think part of one thing about you that I feel like is I think you're more open to that sort of thing happening.
Yeah.
Whereas like I try to limit, or maybe it's like a subconscious thing. Maybe I'm not actively thinking about how I don't want to talk to a complete stranger for more than a certain length of time. But I think you're more open to it.
It's just not you're not really inviting it, like.
I feel like it. I may have had these conversations like in a certain atmospheres, like maybe at like the campground at a fish show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I now that I think about it, that I'm sure that I'm almost positive something like that's happened, but I can't really think of. But like as far as like day-to-day Sioux Falls living, just random person, like hasn't happened to me.
I just think it's strange. I mean, I'm not really ever inviting it. I don't think. Maybe my face and my expressions when people walk by me and I'm just like, you know, just kind of smile. I'm like, hey, something's going on. You know,
Yeah.
give them a wink, and they read into that to, hey, like you seem friendly. You seem like somebody that understands something that's going on beneath the surface. Because everybody's got this projection that they give off as they go throughout life. As you go to a grocery store, the cashier, there's a projection that you give, but underneath it, you know that there's something more going on. Right. It's not just this person at the register ringing you up. They have a mother and father. They may have children. They have boyfriend. They have problems. They have things going on in their life, right? And everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
So how, if somebody wants to show you that or let you dig a little bit beneath the surface, that's what not that you're waiting for it, but it's always going to be there,
right?
And do you want to listen to it or not? And I never really feel like I want to, but I've come into situations many times where people have just started outpouring themselves. And one particular experience, I was at Sertoma Park. I used to practice my banjo a lot at Sertoma Park because I lived close to Sertoma Park.
Yeah.
So I just go over there with my banjo and just play it under one of those picnic, those those little
like the
shelter areas. Yeah. And I was just sitting there one time, and I remember this guy came by. He was wearing these sunglasses, and I was just playing my banjo, and he was kind of like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here right across from you and just listen to you for a while." It kind of made me not uneasy, but just kind of like, I'm now aware that you're listening to me, and I'm not going to be playing exactly what I was playing before when I was by myself in private. And he just opened up a book and was reading his book, and it turned out that he was reading the Federalist Papers from back in the 1700s.
Yeah.
And he's a very intelligent man, but after a little while, I just kind of set my banjo across my lap or something. It was just like, what's... howdy.
Yeah.
But he got into information about himself. He first started telling me about the Federalist Papers in the book that he was reading, but soon thereafter, he started talking to me about his personal life and about how he had committed adultery and how he was with this wife that now he's afraid is going to leave him, and he kept taking swigs off of his bottle of whiskey or rum or whatever he had, and just getting more and more drunk. He left his gold sunglasses on the whole time. I never saw his eyes, and we sat there and talked for probably 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Wow, that's a long time.
It really was. I mean, but this guy really got deep into things. He cried. He talked about a suicide attempt. He talked about all these things, and I just couldn't just depart from it. I felt like he needed something at that moment, and I felt like it was almost like something had aligned for this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I just sat there and listened to him talking, and allowed him, I guess, to vent his personal things to me. And that's not the only time that it's happened. There's been other times where I've just been out playing disc or doing other things, and I don't know. I just wonder if it's just my face or what the hell people are trying to do when they come across me out there in the universe. I wrote a little short story about this guy. His name was Brad, and after that instance, I saw him a couple more times out there on the road, and I finally did get to see his eyes. One of the times he wasn't wearing his sunglasses, or he had them up on his forehead or something like that. It's very interesting. I mean, I could get into some more details about it, but the point is the depth that everybody has, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you don't really always think about, but, like, when I've, like... Yeah, it's, like, it's one of those things, or, like, you'll see, like, I go to Hy-Vee, like, almost on the daily,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this one grocery clerk lady that's there working sometimes, and then I've seen her on multiple occasions not at Hy-Vee in civilian clothing,
right,
and I'm in civilian clothing,
right.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know whether to be like, hey, I see you every once in a while at Hy-Vee, or if I should just like pretend like I don't know where I know her from.
Right.
You know, do I say like, hey, you work at that Hy-Vee, and just kind of like just be like friendly,
right?
Or do I just be like, I'm just gonna keep on drinking coffee at this coffee shop, and not say that, hey, I know you from Hy-Vee.
But it's interesting because she knows that you know her.
And she probably knows too. Yeah.
Of course she does.
Even though she sees hundreds of people every time she has a shift at Hy-Vee.
Yes.
So that's one of the things I think about. Like, does she actually?
Well, I think she will recognize you. I mean, today as I was walking downtown, there was a guy that came into Little Caesars yesterday. He ordered buffalo wings and a pepperoni pizza. His name was Mike. And he was waiting for like 12 minutes. Then I was walking downtown today, and there was Mike walking downtown. And as I walked by him, like, he wasn't going to say anything. Like, I don't know if he recognized me at first. And I was just like, hey, Mike, how's it going? Boom. Just like that.
Yeah.
That was the only interaction. But I think it left, it must have left something with him. Like, how did that guy know me? Like, what is that? Like, where does, like, he knows my name?
You know what you should have done?
What?
Yo, Mikey! Like your best pals or something.
Buffalo Wings, bro!
Saturday night, Buffalo Wings? The game? We watching it?
He was freaked out.
Yeah.
He smelled like Indian food when he came into Caesars. Like, that's one of the things I remember about him. He's like, I smell Indian food. Your name is Mike. You want buffalo wings and pepperoni pizza. Okay, there's like 400 other people that I've served today.
Yeah.
500 other pizzas that I've made for other people. But there's this guy named Mike. And, beneath this little interaction that we've had are so many intricate details about this guy. Like, he could be sitting right now clipping his toenails. He could be, like, doing a crossword puzzle. This guy is actually living a life moment to moment. The current is happening for him, and but to me, it was just this slight moment at Little Caesars, and then this other connection as we walk downtown past each other. That's it. I don't know if I'll ever see him again in my life, but regardless if I do or not, every moment that's passing for me, he's doing something.
Right.
He could be in the shower right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
He could be changing his socks. He could be brushing his teeth, sleeping.
He could be writing a thesis.
Right now, he could just be doing that. But the cool thing is about that, and that we have to remember, is that there are these deep, intricate details about every person that are continuous that we don't know about.
Well, one thing, I read this one book called The Power of Now.
I remember that book. What was that guy's name?
Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle.
Or something like that. Anyways, I heard about that book back probably when you were hearing about that book through Crego and some other people. And I remember I started reading it, but I wasn't open to it at the time. It kind of seemed like a lot of, well, I don't know, and then back then I was kind of like maybe sort of still kind of coasting off a super religious period in my life, or anyways, and it was just seemed kind of like new agey and blah blah blah. Anyways, I read it read the book recently, and it really spoke to me. And then also I started a new book called Polishing the Mirror.
Okay.
Anyways, a general theme that out of the two books that Eckhart Tolle one, The Power of Now, and the one I'm reading now, is like, and I didn't really think about it a whole lot until, well, actually, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and Pete Holmes is like a comedian, but he's also very spiritual, and so is this guy named Duncan Trussell, which I think I've told you about.
Oh, you've mentioned that. You guys know about this.
Yes, and the YouTuber people that watch this, not really
yes.
a ton
all
of people.
You all know.
Anyways, like a collective, or what I hear a lot listening to podcasts and reading those couple books, and like a theme is like, we all have a consciousness. And sometimes we're not like necessarily awake to it. Like we're just kind of like running off of almost like your ego 100% of the time.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, like there's your ego that's like, you know, like I could go into a whole thing about the ego, but anyways, what I was really trying to say here is you have a consciousness, but then it's also to kind of like not feel like you're separate from everybody else in the world, like you need to watch out for numero uno, or think about yourself, or to kind of like deflate the ego a little bit, is like you've got a consciousness, but then there's like also kind of like a collective world consciousness, and like we're all kind of, you can think about it how, you know, how like something will happen in one part of the world and like the rest of the world will quickly catch on to it, and it kind of evolves the consciousness a little bit. And like one of the things, it's sort of related to that maybe, you know how, have you ever heard about, you know, something will get invented in the U.S. and then almost simultaneously it was being invented in Europe at the same time.
Yeah.
And even if, and this is like prior to like internet and like globalization,
global communication, like things like that, before telephones, before all that stuff. Yeah. I
yeah,
know,
like,
that's
you know,
true.
like things like let me think of a good example. I want to say guns, but
well, no, okay,
but like,
gunpowder is perfectly
say
legitimate.
Yeah, or say like a train. Like trains, I haven't like Wikipedia'd or anything.
Don't need
but like
to.
say like somebody was like, oh, I've got this idea. We create a railway, and this train just kind of runs on that railway off of steam.
Simultaneously
On the other half of the world, on the other complete opposite side of the world, somebody was like, if I can create a railway, it's kind of like one of those things, but it also kind of works on the consciousness level of just like the global psyche of the world. It's kind of growing simultaneously with each other, minus the internet altogether. Well, granted, the internet is a big part of like information leaping,
Of course now, yeah. But yeah, once somebody has an idea, it is like a seed that has now started to blow out there, and it can be gathered. Just the thought, not anything wireless or anything like that. Just the brain thought being pushed out into the earth, being pushed out into the atmosphere, can be collected and harvested by another brain or by another thing. The collective human consciousness.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, that is real, and there are examples.
Yeah,
I can't think of them now.
Like, you have your own thoughts, and I have my own thoughts, but at the same time, like, there's like this global thought process going on. You know what I mean?
And I think that the strengths come when you do know somebody, or when you're more familiar with somebody. Obviously, you can see those collective consciousness acts like occurring more often.
Mm-hmm.
Think about you and me sitting here and talking about things. We'll be able to connect into ideas very easily, very quickly. We'll be able to laugh about certain things because we'll understand kind of where your consciousness is kind of drawing its information from in this pool of everything that we've gathered throughout our lives. You've gathered something, and like, I kind of understand that you gathered these things in your life.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to like laugh about a certain joke or a certain just thing that happens that pops up for us. But that happens just because we're humans too. To somebody that you don't even know. We don't have to know each other, but because we're humans, we can laugh at the fact that, oh man, stubbing your toe is a shit process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oops.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
Yeah.
And it's not just like empathy and understanding, but it is tapping into something a little bit deeper, tapping into something that our brains are producing. I don't know.
I think it's interesting to think about how like a thought in your brain is like energy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, how do I put this?
It's almost like this song, dude.
Kind of like
Continue.
But yeah, like energy, it's like, obviously there's energy as far as this, the energy in light, like a light flashlight when you turn it on, or like a car that's going down the street. But it's just like everything's just pure energy, and it can either be created nor destroyed, one of the laws of physics or whatever. And it's kind of interesting. I think that plays a lot into it. Like, there's this global thought process or consciousness powered by energy, which is really just has no beginning and has no end, kind of, I think, maybe. And I'm not really sure where I'm going with this.
That's okay.
But and I think that's one of the things that kind of brings up, or makes me also think about, is like, oh, I've got low battery, Matthew.
I saw that about 3.
Did it stop the video at low battery?
No, it's still going.
Oh, it's still going. I'm not really sure where I was heading with like all that, but like everything's connected.
It's like a jinx
by
type
energy.
of a thing, like when you jinx somebody, you said it at the same time, you thought about it at the same time.
It's like we almost finish each other's
But seriously.
That's like the cheesiest joke.
It's like we almost finish each other's
sandwiches.
No, but seriously, sandwiches, dude. I could have one right now.
I might get one. No, I'm not.
Wait, you're going
I'll
to
get food,
you're
maybe.
going to Giliberto's, dude?
I didn't say that. You want to, though?
What the
Bye.
heck, cheese? What the heck, cheese?
This girl on Facebook the other day, her status was heck it all. Heck. And I
Really?
said, watch the language in a comment.
Hey.
Hey.
There are
This
children
is
here.
This is a family social media site.
You want to use language like that? You go to those adult-only
Yeah.
pages.
Go to the dark web or something.
Hey, Cory, speaking of, did you guys have AOL when you were younger?
Yeah.
So you remember having to go on dial-up?
Yeah.
So that was a thing. So there's that. But then you went on to AOL and you're like, oh yes, I'm connected. And then you could like see people in chat rooms and all this stuff. And then you'd like go chat rooms like
I remember,
Midwest or like
ASL.
Yeah. Oh. ASL.
Age, sex, language.
I mean, how many of those
or
people,
location, not
I remember,
language.
okay, so I was like 13, 14 doing that kind of stuff, and I bumped into plenty of 13, 14-year-old females. But now that I think about it, now that I'm this age and you know about the internet, you know about people that
was
do
a 40-year-old
that kind of
dude.
Stuff. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. That was some warty dude with just, like, gross tone, like, just decaying in his mother's basement or something like that. Like,
there's an interesting story about how like 'cause AOL inadvertently and then kind of like they inadvertently kind of fostered a place for pedophiles online to connect to each other.
Well, it was the first kind of place where you could start.
And Barry Crimmins, he's a comedian.
Barry Crimmins?
Yeah, he kind of started this whole congressional and Supreme Court case about online predatory things of the sexual nature, and that's just kind of not really a sidetrack, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. Now there's like some sort of like ruling.
It's like a Roe versus Wade type thing.
Yeah, there's some sort of ruling that Barry Crimmins, the comedian, was involved with because he was actually raped as a child, and there's this whole documentary about him. And so he's kind of like a sex crimes he speaks out against the like sex crime.
I mean, it's a serious subject, but Cory with his documentaries.
Oh man, I love documentaries. But on another note, that phone might die on me at any minute.
Yeah, let's pause it or stop it so that you can collect what we've done.
Yes, but
guys,
go ahead.
Out of tune.
I totally ruined that. Hey, look at that.